Americans are panic buying gas after a ransomware attack shut down a major U.S. pipeline. It's now up and running again, but the White House says the impacts aren't over. Elise Preston has the details.
President Biden says Colonial Pipeline is once again operating at full capacity after a cyber attack, but that it will be at least a couple days before gas stations are back up to speed in the Southeast.
This is not like flicking on a light switch. This pipeline is 5,500 miles long. It had never been fully shut down.
The president says Russian criminals are behind the attack that led to the shutdown. He says any price gouging will be punished and urged drivers not to panic.
I know seeing lines at the pumps or gas stations with no gas can be extremely stressful, but this is a temporary situation. Do not get more gas than you need in the next few days.
This situation has pushed up gas prices across the country. It comes just before Memorial Day weekend, when many drivers will be hitting the road and demand will spike. AAA says don't expect prices to drop until next month.
That's not what driver Anthony Ross wants to hear. The national average price for a gallon of gas is topping $3, the highest since October 2014.
When is it going to stop? When is it going to balance off and start going back the other way?
President Biden declined to comment when asked if Colonial paid a ransom and didn't rule out a retaliatory attack. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
We're learning more details about who was behind that attack on the Colonial Pipeline. The FBI has confirmed it was carried out by a group of Russian hackers known as DarkSide. For the latest on what happened, let's bring in CBS News senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge. Hi there, Catherine. So federal officials publicly said paying ransom rewards bad behavior. What do we know about whether Colonial actually paid one and how much?
Well, Elaine, there's been no public confirmation from Colonial Pipeline or from the NSC or National Security Council at the White House, but separately, CBS News has confirmed through a source familiar with the situation that a multi-million-dollar ransom was paid to the hackers. As you mentioned, the federal government discourages the payment of ransom because that will only encourage more criminal activity in the future. So what I would be watching for in the hours ahead is whether there was some kind of disruption or intervention by the U.S. government and our allies to prevent some, if not all, of the ransom reaching the hackers in this particular case.
Well, for days, Catherine, we've seen footage of gas lines along the East Coast with some stations running dry. When might the supply be back?
Well, what we know from our reporting here at CBS News, according to statements from Colonial Pipeline, is that they expected some, if not all, of the pipeline would be restored by midday today. But it does take some time to fully deal with the vacuum that was created with the shutdown of the pipeline. All of that said, you can't go back in time to the behavior and activity that we saw in the days leading up to really what's been a very positive announcement, and that was the hoarding of gasoline at stations. And you couple that with the fact that we're heading into the Memorial Day weekend, and everyone who hits the road knows that the gas prices sort of magically rise as you head into that holiday. So we have the confluence of these handful of factors. You've got the shutdown, really the first time in our country's history of a major pipeline that goes up and down the East Coast. Now that it's back on, you have to fill the void or the vacuum that was created in that supply. And then you have it coming at a time of increased demand heading into the holiday weekend. So the short answer from that long-winded explanation is that relief still is probably a week or 10 days into the future.
All right, all because of, as you say, a confluence of things coming
correct.
together here. Well, on Thursday, the acting director of the Federal Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency was asked about the Colonial Pipeline investigation, and here's some of what he said.
Late last night, we have received some indicators of compromise from the incident at Colonial. We are working with the FBI to get that information out today in a more broad way. It doesn't tell us the complete story yet, but it does provide at least initial indicators of where and how the attack took place. And we're, again, working to share more information publicly, and we're looking to do that as soon as today.
Catherine, how big is this investigation and what's the time frame here? When might we see some results?
Well, I think the best way, Elaine, to think of what happened at Colonial Pipeline is that this is really a massive crime scene for federal investigators. And what you just heard there is a reference to what amounts to an autopsy of the crime that has occurred. And in this particular case, when you're talking about a cybercrime, you're looking at things like the digital signature of the hackers. Have you seen that in other cases? Where was the server it came through? Did it come through a server perhaps in Eastern Europe? That's like plausible deniability, a third-party cutout to mask the origination. And what does the code tell us about the individuals involved and what the access or the weakness was that these hackers were able to exploit? All of that matters because you can take that technical data from the autopsy on Colonial Pipeline and you can share it with other companies so that they can be on the lookout for similar attacks in the coming days.
Well, President Biden signed a 34-page cybersecurity executive order Wednesday to bolster U.S. defenses against hackers. He also mentioned the formation of a Justice Department task force targeting ransomware and digital extortion. Talk to us a little bit about what those things will do.
Well, the executive order, I had generally good feedback from former senior intelligence officials who work in the cybersecurity space. They said there were a lot of good elements to it, but they said even if the executive order had been in place prior to Colonial Pipeline and prior to SolarWinds, it would not have prevented those hacks. The other thing you're talking about is this task force. The Justice Department circulated to reporters this 4-page internal memo about the standing up of this ransomware and digital extortion task force. In a nutshell, what it does is it really consolidates the National Security Division efforts, the Criminal Division efforts, and then also the FBI in a way to best share intelligence so that companies can be on the offensive, really looking for weaknesses prior to a ransomware attack. But I think what both of these things really lay bare is what the ultimate challenge is here, which is so much of the critical infrastructure inside the United States is held by the private sector. And it's really up to the private sector to have best practices in place. And we hear that term a lot. So what does it mean? It means the things that many of us have in our workplaces, which is multi-factor authentication, different standards for password security. In the case of infrastructure, having data backed up to a secondary source like the cloud. So if you lose your data, you can essentially throw away the key and walk away and not pay that ransom. And then the third is really having a good protocol for having patches and updates in place to keep strengthening your system. But again, it lays bare, I think, the fundamental challenge here, which is that it really comes down to the private sector and having a standard of security which can really withstand what has been just an onslaught in ransomware attacks targeting entities inside the United States.
I mean, onslaught is really the word, Catherine. The attack that brought down Colonial Pipeline is just the latest of a series. There's the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department,
correct,
SolarWinds, and Microsoft Exchange. Is the scope and scale of these hacks getting worse?
One of the things that we've seen, and this is based on information that was given to us by the Department of Homeland Security, is that there's been about a 300% increase in attacks in recent years. And you've got to ask yourself, how can that be? And it comes down simply to money, which is that medium or small scale companies, if they are the target and the victim of a ransomware attack, they have lost all their data. Their hands are tied and they've got to pay some kind of ransom. And of course, paying that money is like a positive feedback loop. It only encourages these cyber criminals to come back to the trough again. And sadly, that is exactly what's been happening here.
I would imagine that what has happened is really a wake-up call for those, as you say, in the private sector on whom that burden really falls. There's only so much that the federal government can do.
Correct.
We're going to continue to watch it. Catherine Herridge, thank you so much.
You're welcome.